Hello, welcome to NewsClick and Indian Culture Forum. Today is 63 years since the death of the first lawmaker, the constitution writer, Dr. BR Ambedkar. We have with us a guest, Mr. Yogesh Maitreya. He's a PhD scholar and he's an author, translator, and he runs his own publishing house, Panther's Paw. Welcome to NewsClick and Indian Culture Forum. So, 63 years is a long time. Would you like to tell us first what is the relevance of Mr. Ambedkar's message today?
I think as I see Ambedkar's life started as a scholar, then he came into the public life. He fought on a political front, he fought on a cultural front, and then the culmination of his life was conversion to Buddhism with almost 500,000 of his followers. Now, if we look at his life and the philosophy behind his each act in every, whether it's a cultural domain, whether it's a political domain or the domain of education or law or constitution, it somewhere has a Buddhist philosophy beneath it. And he at one point of his life he said, I am the most hated man in India. So as a matter of fact, that was the case, because he was never in his life compromise anything which has to do with supporting the caste. He was always against the caste system because it somewhere destroy the social fabric of Indian society. As far as I remember, like as a child, this was the everyday scene for us. Jai Bhim was the everyday scene for us, everyday word for us. When we go to the Buddhist vihara, like we were told the stories of how Ambedkar struggled, how he educated himself, how he fought for education. So we had a role model. We were told that to become like him for everybody. Like in Buddhist vihara, even children from middle-aged people were rarely there, but that time the crowd of in my Buddhist vihara in my basti was like elderly people and the children. So they used to give us these values. See, you have to be like Ambedkar, all men, girls and boys. Like we were
What does
small.
it mean to be like Ambedkar?
Now, for also they did not know exactly because it's a process. But for them, how the symbols work. You have to be educated like him. So these elderly people were not educated, but they have seen book in his hand. There is no figure in India. There is no political figure in India who has a book in his hand. So he has a book in his hand. There are degrees. His degrees are mentioned below his photo. For us, that becomes a symbol for which we were asked to aspire.
One of the things which continues to persist is the charge which is leveled against Dalit activists, against those who work with the Dalits, that they are practicing a kind of identity politics. And, sometimes you even hear this criticism, self-criticism, that no, we want to move away from identity to other questions. So what is this other question?
And there is this other question is a sham.
But is there not a need for a class-based, assertion as well? Because when you're asking for education, then that is a demand of every community in India,
Yes, yes.
right? So
That is the demand of every community, but this demand is also not equal, right? Now, population of Dalit Bahujan caste is huge as compared to Brahmins. The fundamental thing is that in any domain we are treated unequally, not as a human being. That is our fundamental demand. Now there are when I say that this education. So far, when you say the education is a demand of everybody. Now, let me tell you, like I'm the first generation learner. But if I say some person from Savannah or the Brahmin caste and in the same university now, in the same time, real time, in 2019, and when I ask him or her, like I follow, so their grandfathers were MA from somewhere Aligarh University or somewhere, local merit university or somewhere, any the provincial big shot universities. And then like, my grandfather was like, he didn't even have any idea of it, what it is. So, and then so somewhere, what is now education is demand of them, true. Education is also demand of us, true. But education was never given to our previous generation and their generation and their generation. Now they have been getting education for a time immemorial. We just started to get it. So, and we have this, our members are this many, you know, they're members of, very few, and everybody is being taken care.
So you mean that the whole idea that someone possesses an identity which is a caste identity that is imposed on other castes but not on the elite caste, not on the Brahmins.
Then that is what is, that is the matter of honesty. Baba Sahib they says that there is no intellectual honesty in India. Why intellectual honesty? There is no intellectual honesty because we say no, we come from this caste, so we are this, right? But Brahmin should also come from a caste, right? He should also mention that. So how come he becomes a global human being and we are not a global human? We are also human being, right? I feel hungry, I feel thirsty. Everything, we all have a characteristic of human being. We have aspirations, we have intel. Now once we are when we are given opportunity, we show that we also exercise our intellectualism, our understanding, our aspirations, our idea of beauty. We write poetry, nothing new in that. It's a human characteristic. The only thing they denied that, and when we started writing this, they said that this is identity politics. I mean, you also do the identity politics, but you don't accept it. We do it, we accept it. That
You
is.
know, one thing that you'll always notice is that when a social or political or cultural organization is floated by members of Dalit communities, then always in the name, at least in North India, you will notice that the name of the organization will include the OBCs, will include the Muslims. So there is this quest to form a larger grouping, which is called sometimes Bahujan, etc., etc. So do you think that this sort of collation of different social groups with similar interests and common interests is going to form, do you see the stirrings of that?
See, this is a need of an hour, and like more than this, like we need to understand that, uh, although because as I said, we are a conglomeration of castes. So this casting is also among Muslims, right? But what is the cord of which can connect all of us is our experiences, right? Like if Dalits are being exploited here in the name of caste, and there are some Muslims among Muslim community are also being treated unequal. Now they also possess that experience of being humiliated and discarded as a human being, or like they were just othered. So what is the why we should come together? Because like somewhere we are like we want to resurrect our human personality. We were just made inhuman or subhuman in the eyes of people who dictate us. So rather than now, so far they dictate, no, like the discourse at the hands of Brahmin dictates what we are, because they own the culture. Their culture is only also seen as the Indian culture to the outside media or outside world. So it is now we need to own and talk for ourselves and push our case, advocate our case that what we are. So and it can't be done by a single caste. There should be several castes who possess the same experiences, so that their voice become much louder, right? So there is a scope of, among Dalits, Christians, because in the name of religion they are also facing this like similar sort of experiences, Muslims and other minorities.
Sometimes there is a perception that whenever there is a conversion of 50 people, 100 people, however many people to Buddhism, then a great show is made out of it. It is almost as if you are challenging the other Hindus to accept their demands, or else they will turn to Buddhism. They will leave the religion. So, do you see something like this being done in the name of Buddhism? It seems a little unfair to do that, right? To
Uh,
use a religion as a bargaining chip.
no, I think Dalits never use at least when it comes to Buddhism as a bargaining or a bet. Never. For them, it's a matter of pride also, that they are resurrecting their uh, way of life, which ones they followed. So, public assertion is also an honesty. Public assertion is also telling the people that we are no more going to be living according to your norms and your, according to your repressive ideas. We are going to lead our life in this way. So, it is also to, assert yourself.
Do you think that the violence that the Dalits face now, particularly women in the villages, is that a result of their assertion too?
Uh, I guess, yeah, like violence against any member of the society who is somewhere subjected to a kind of a oppression. Even if woman is fighting against patriarchy, even if that woman is upper caste, and if she's talking against patriarchy, she has to face the repercussions of it by her fellow castemen. I mean, they
Right.
don't easily accept that. So there is a repercussion. So you can understand the repercussions of Dalits, not only fighting against patriarchy, but Brahminism, the caste, and everything. So their fight is bigger.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining NewsClick and Indian Cultural Forum.